Well, we're back today with the Back in the Bold podcast. My name is Viv Vipperman, and I'm excited to have a conversation today with Megan Whitlock here in Fort Worth, Texas. Megan, so glad you could be with us today.
Thank you so much, Viv, for having me.
Yeah, looking forward to learn a little bit more about your background, as well as hear some of the exciting things you're doing with Profit Inc.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Share that.
Well, let's get started. Tell me a little bit about your story. How did you get here today?
So it's an interesting conversation because I came about this. I'm not your typical entrepreneur. So my background is in accounting. I did the typical CPA role, worked my way up through rank and file to make partner, and then joined the National Tax Office at a Big Four accounting firm. And in that role, I was very involved with technology and development of internal resources.
Okay.
So coding for partnership allocations, very large publicly traded partnerships. And so very passionate about efficiencies, innovation. And then I've known the founders. I've known Mark for probably about 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And Wade about 5. And have recently stepped away from the traditional partner accounting role. So that has been a journey for me. I'm stepping into entrepreneurship, which is a little scary. Again, traditional role for CPAs, grow the firm, build your book of business, retire.
Yeah.
With the changes that have been going on in technology that have absolutely pervaded the market. You see the roll up with accounting firms and the constant evolution of technology in the marketplace. But not just technology, AI solutions, and what really makes sense. And so in having a conversation with Mark, I had an issue with the client and they came to me and said, hey, we'd like to look at AI solutions. My approach has always been, yes, let me help you. Right? How can I help? And with that mindset of how can I help, I had some conversations with Mark and he introduced me to what Profit Inc. was doing. And again, I knew of Eagle Venture Fund. I knew of a lot of the great work that they were doing in the area of trafficking, which is something obviously I'm hugely passionate about protecting people who can't advocate for themselves.
Nice.
And so this environment really brought together all of the things that I'm passionate about.
Oh, wow.
And in looking at the next chapter, right, of where I go next in my career, and leaving a legacy and helping more people, that has been a key element of how can I do more?
Yeah.
Right? How can I help more people? Because the haves and the have-nots are growing exponentially through not only technology, but knowledge. Being able to, as an advisor, help equip your clients, your smaller businesses. So I've been on the deal side of, M&A from inside out, forwards and backwards.
Oh, wow.
My role in national tax at KPMG. So, I've done buy side, I've done sell side, I've, seen that through on the tax side. And again, the haves and the have-nots just keep growing. And being able to help more people with all of the knowledge I've accumulated over 20 plus years in the accounting field is something that I'm hugely passionate about.
Yeah.
And being able to help the small business owners, right, with things that are very technical, very complicated, was a big draw to me with Profit Inc.
Nice.
I see, hey, we can do things and enable not only advisors, but smaller business owners, the mom and pop, the plumbers that, private equity are looking to buy. That's life-changing dollar amounts for them.
Yeah.
And really being able to help and enable them in that space with Profit Inc.
Very, very cool. Yeah, a lot of people I've seen they get to a partner stage or something like that. Oh, they're like, oh, I want to retire and I'll serve a nonprofit for a few years or serve on a few boards or that kind of thing. But exciting to stay in the for-profit side and yet at the same time get a new adventure and trying to build something new with the potential of having some real fun and seeing a significant company grow.
Yes.
So you've seen a lot of different pieces. What was it? It sounds like the team and the culture is one of the things that really drew you. Tell me a little bit more about what you've experienced so far. And I know it hasn't been long.
So it's been a journey of about 2 months. And I would say in that 2 months, I'm a single mom. I have 2 children, right? So I'm always looking for, ways that I can use my experience, both good and bad, to teach them. And what I've been able to have as far as conversations with my children in just the 2 months that I've been in this space is they're like, Mom, you look so happy. And I was like, I am, because I am able to help more people. That is my purpose, right? Is to share this wonderful knowledge of financial things that I have, with people who support me.
Yeah.
People who encourage me and are working towards a purpose. We all have alignment in our values.
Nice.
And when you're in a situation like that, you can't help but succeed, right? Because you're all working towards a common goal to help others.
That's awesome. So you've shared a little bit about your story. You've shared a little bit about the work you're doing at Profit Inc. What are the things about Profit Inc. that really stand out for you as a technology? Like, what is that problem that you've seen, years and years in the business, as it were, that Profit Inc. is helping to solve?
Yeah. So when Mark and I were first discussing what Profit Inc. did, it took me maybe 3 or 4 days to really dive deep into the product and understand, the full scope of what was happening. Because again, being in a technological background, right? Data security, AI are huge concerns for me.
The concerns
Right? Because as a CPA, we're trusted advisors. Right? So when I recommend something to a client, I have to understand how their data is being used. Does it meet not only baseline security requirements, but my personal requirements, right? That I would recommend to people because these are my friends. Right. And understanding how the data was being used, understanding that, the system does certain things, right? That as an accountant, I can say, look, this is a product I believe in, right? I could represent this product in a software capacity to other advisors that are looking for solutions. And so when I spent the time, I looked at Mark and I said, this product is a quantum leap for advisors in the M&A space, right? So what you've done is you've compressed the deal cycle from something that can take 6 months to even a year. And you've shortened that to something that executed properly can take a week. And so what that does, if you think about that in the deal space, all of the dollars spent, from startups trying to, on the sell side, right, trying to get their product to market are beyond their reach, first off, right? And then secondly, as a group of investors trying to deploy capital to help others, it takes so long to even see if they're a good fit.
Yeah, I actually had a friend who's gone through recently a private equity buy. Like his company is for sale, and they got up to like 2 weeks before the close and then discovered something that the buyer didn't like. You're like, man, if they had just ran it through early on and kind of discovered any of the challenges that would have come up, they could have talked through them, worked through them early on instead of getting 6 months in, waiting till the last possible minute, and then
deals go stale or they just don't close.
Right.
You've spent all of that time, resources, effort, and the due diligence process is not for the faint of heart, right? And I tell, prospective sellers, I was like, look, if you've never been eviscerated, what's going to happen when a very sophisticated buyer comes in is they're going to see immediately that your accounting system isn't even up to par. And so there's a 20% marketability discount right off the front end because they don't even know that what they're holding out is true.
No.
So this is just, It's something that is easily deployable to, I call it the 360 deal cycle. So this is something that a banker can use, right, to quickly gating, right? Is it a qualified buyer of a loan?
Right.
Is it a qualified seller? Do they have what they think they have? If not, is there an opportunity before a buyer comes in to do certain things, right? Because again, the mom and pop, the person that has developed this wonderful product, you know, the world needs that product.
Right.
Right. And then this enables them to be able to sell it at a profit or something that they think is reasonable and understand what they have.
Yeah. Yeah. And how many people think, you know, their baby is worth more than it truly is? At least this gives like a very clear picture of, and even may discover some opportunities that they didn't know they had.
Yes.
When it points out profitability opportunities.
Yes.
So it's very cool. Well, it's a big jump to come from, you know, large company and that kind of thing. What's it like to be in the startup world?
It is very different. It is quite the adjustment.
Yeah.
I tell my friends as an accountant, I swaddle myself in certainty at night. You know, and I love, I have calendars, they're color coded there, and you take all of that and you shake it and throw it all out the window, right? And you deal with things as they come. But in doing that, I've been able to leverage skills that in the corporate environment were never valued.
That's really cool.
And, you know, again, that servant mindset. You know, if a client wasn't profitable or it didn't meet a certain threshold, they were immediately dismissed. In the software environment, you know, the user can be very broad.
Yeah. Again, that's interesting.
The bandwidth of people that we can serve with this is huge.
Yeah. Mark mentioned a bankruptcy, almost bankruptcy case, all the way to someone who's, you know, just wants to expand and broaden their business opportunities. So, so we've talked a little bit about the challenges of the entrepreneurial business, but tell me a little bit about your experience in the world that you're bringing in. Like, give me 2 or 3 things that you feel like I learned this when I was at the big shop, and this is going to be super valuable and something that maybe the entrepreneurs in the room hadn't been able to do yet.
So in my role in national tax, I was a teacher, trainer of the entire firm.
Oh, wow.
And so taking that passion for education, that passion for learning, and now that enables me to not only, you know, give them this tool through Profit Inc. and the Profit Inc. system, but also the education.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. We can help. Right? Nice. You don't have to have this very deep knowledge because you're deep in your product. You're deep in what you do.
Yeah.
Right? And so let us help you through automation, right? In a way that is closed system, that is safe, secure, that we can immediately give you an answer.
Nice. Well, one of the things I didn't ask Mark today when I was talking to him about the whole Eagle Venture Fund studio itself and didn't go into detail is, you know, a lot of times on this podcast, we jokingly say solicit, please. So, you know, a lot of places you go, don't solicit, don't sell to us. We don't want to hear it. Right. But in this case, if there's a company, like what's the right company out there to talk to you guys? And then if there's a company out there and they've listened to the podcast, what do they do? Like, who do they talk to? What's the website? Just give us a little of that information.
So this has been an interesting journey as well, right? Because again, the product isn't necessarily for everyone. It can help everyone. However, you know, one of the things I've discovered in going through the ecosystem and going through the existing client base is that you need someone who wants to act for themselves.
Okay.
So you need a person who is passionate about their business enough to take that first step.
Yeah.
Right? Because we can offer all of the monthly subscriptions at a reasonable cost, but if you do not see the value in growing your company,
right,
then
some people are just
product in
sitting on their, you know, their stack of gold or whatever, and they don't want to put extra effort
with that.
Yeah.
And it's identifying those people off the front end and saying, okay, you know, growth isn't for everyone.
Right.
Because it is sometimes a very painful process, right? Because you have to take all the things out, you have to look at them, and you have to have this growth mindset. So that's the first, we call, again, the gating issue.
Yeah.
And that's the conversations I've had with Mark and others is, hey, you can have the best product in the world, but if people don't want to move or act, they're not going to.
Right. Okay.
And so that's the first thing. And then if you're interested in growing your business, if you're interested in knowing what you have, right? Even if it's simply the affirmative of, hey, I'm doing the right things, do more of the right things.
Yeah.
Right? In a very easy to digest way. Again, Profit Inc. is the website. Go out, sign up for a Profit Pulse, and we can help you.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thanks for taking the time today. Excited to have more companies have the opportunity to be encouraged by Profit Inc. Last thing, can it be used for nonprofits as well at this point? I know we've got some friends out there that are in the nonprofit space just to help them kind of get clarity.
It can be used in a nonprofit space because, again, you're seeing how dollars are being deployed. You're seeing which project is bringing in more than the expenses. And so any kind of comparison like that, there is value because you can dive deeper into product, customer, representatives, managers of the nonprofit space.
So it's really getting a deeper understanding of your entity.
Yes.
Like what it's doing. Cool. Well, thanks so much for sharing with us today. Excited to see Profit Inc. grow.
Thank you so much for having me.